Hi guys, this is Cameron here with Ty Gwerder from UFL. UFL final at the middleweight. So, just first question: how did the camp go for your last fight against Shane?
It was a great camp. This is probably by far that I've had. I usually don't start my camps so far out. This time I give myself, a full 10-week camp. So I had a little extra. I was a bit heavier going to camp, put on a bunch of muscle in the off season. So, my weight came off smooth, as it should have. And I'm just happy that I went through the whole camp without getting injured and whatnot. Well, almost the whole way.
It's from the outset, it did look like you came in a little bit bigger than your last few fights. Was that something that you done on purpose?
Yeah, for sure. Usually I get into fight week about 197. Um, and I was kind of tired of feeling. I felt a little weaker in the last couple fights, whereas this time I was like, I put on 8 pounds of muscle between the February fight and the start of camp, um, in June, and I I probably got into fight week about 204, maybe 203, and that was the plan. I just wanted to get a little bigger, put on some size, and I felt really strong in this fight. Um, yeah, I didn't feel anywhere where I was the weaker fighter. I mean, never usually do actually anyway.
So, from obviously, I think the first time I interviewed you was a good few years ago now. So, but I remember our first
Yeah.
interview, I asked you about grappling, and I always remember your response because you weren't a fan of it. You said it tires you out too much, and it's been good to see in the last, I'd say, 2 to 3 years of that kind of progression from you going from someone that admittedly grappling tired you out to recently your grappling looks really, really solid. And is that something that you've been putting extra work into as well, just to make sure that you're more complete everywhere?
Yeah, definitely. Over the last, I'd say maybe the last 2 years or so, maybe even 3 years now, I've been really focusing on spending more time doing live grappling. Just being more uh confident in my cardio when I have to exchange, constant grappling and flowing for 5 minutes in a fight. And it's really starting to pay off. I'm constantly grappling with black belts and guys that are much better than me at grappling. And, to be able to do 5 minutes of live grappling, not getting submitted or being able to get off my back is really played a big role in my confidence going into fights as well now.
Do you think that comes from training at a big camp like Extreme Couture, where you've got plenty of not just good strikers, you've got big guys in there that are good grapplers as well? Is that something that, plays into your favor and helps you a lot?
Oh, definitely. I think majority of my sparring partners are grapplers. Like I besides Brad, Sadibu, um, and Maki, like those are all guys that are really heavy strikers, but also can really wrestle as well. So, and then you got guys like Roman, Dolidze, we got Gabriel Checo, I've got Sean Strickland, Puna. Those are all guys that are high level grapplers as well, and jiu-jitsu guys. So, being able to go with them for 5 minutes and not feel like I'm constantly getting outworked is really helping a lot in my mindset.
Do you think, obviously, the first fight against Shane didn't exactly go how you planned, but do you think the next fight that you had was that one obviously getting rocked a wee bit in the first round? Do you think that kind of played in your favour? And you hear fighters talking about when they get knocked out for the first time and they have that almost fear of getting hurt again. Do you think you getting hurt and was able to kind of get through it almost unscathed? Do you think that helped your confidence a wee bit and kind of showed you, right, okay, you still can take a hit?
Um, I didn't even think about the knockout one bit. They actually played the hype video as I was about to walk out, and the video screen was literally behind the curtains. So I got to see myself get knocked out twice right before I walked out. Um, and it's funny because Maki was in my corner and Maki was like, "Oh, don't even look at that. Like, don't even think about that." And I was like, I looked at it the whole way and watched it, and I flicked off the TV, and I was like, that don't mean shit. Excuse my language, but
All right.
I was like, I'm not that that fight getting knocked out didn't worry me one bit about me being able to take a shot or not. I clearly I honestly believe I got careless and got hit with a shot that I didn't see, and that'll put anybody out. So I think I can definitely take a shot, and I'm not worried about that in any future fight.
So I think on that fight, the first one, obviously we've not spoke since. I think we did have something planned, but I think it was my fault this time that we never actually got round to that one.
Yeah.
On that fight, I hope you don't mind me saying, from an outsider's perspective, it looked like you'd had quite a lot of time off. You had that fight in Bellator that was, I said to you over Twitter at the time, I didn't think it was the right decision. I thought you won that one comfortably, and I thought you did get that one robbed off you. Do you think it was just a case of wanting to get back in the win column, a bit too eager? You dropped them really quickly, and do you think you maybe rushed in a bit, or was it just a case of you just didn't see the shot coming?
I'd say a little bit of both. I did not see the shot coming at all. Like I hit him and I seen his eyes roll back. And as soon as he hit the floor, he came right back with the shot. And that was what, like, yes, I got careless. If you watch it in slow motion, I dropped my hands thinking the fight was gonna be done. Like I thought I was gonna get a shot on him on the ground. Nah, he popped up like, out of nowhere and smoked me with the shot that was right behind it. And I'd say 50% of that was being careless, and the other 50% was me not seeing it.
Do you think the fact that you and Shane didn't really get much time to feel each other out? It wasn't, the fight lasted, the first one, it didn't go very long. Do you think that played a bit in your favour, that there wasn't a whole lot that he could see from you in that fight, that you could kind of surprise him a little bit in the rematch and show things that you weren't able to show? Or do you think that he was completely prepared and knew what was coming?
I think he was prepared. Um, I honestly believe that he knows how hard I hit and that I can put away fights in a matter of a shot. Um, and he got to feel my power a bit. So I think he came in fully prepared. He changed camp from what I've seen. It looked like he went over to MMA Lab and prepared for this fight. And he came out in a much different way than I expected him as well. And I think it benefited him a lot to feel my power and know exactly what to expect.
That actually leads on to my next question. I was going to ask, was there anything that surprised you the way he came out and fought?
Yeah, he definitely came out a lot more, I would say, strategic. Like I feel like in a lot of his other fights, he kind of just almost looks like he's flowing out there, And he's got that Dominic Cruz style where you can he gets, once you let him get into his flow, he starts to become a problem. And I fully expected him to do so, try to push the pace a little and see if he could make me tired. I came in great shape for this fight because I knew it was going to be one of those fights where it was a very high pace. And yeah, he surprised me, man. He surprised me in a way of being, I say, strategic wise, but I expected to go 15 minutes.
So I was going to say that as well. I remember seeing before the fight you had predicted that it wouldn't be a first round. I think you said quite a few times it would be somewhere in the second or third, and you obviously never quite got the knockout. But I'm assuming you knew that coming into it, it was going to be a longer fight, and because I noticed right off the bat you were picking your shots a lot more carefully. Which, not to say that
Yeah.
you don't usually, but you're the kind of guy that one shot and lights it out. But this one, you seem to be a lot more strategic, a lot more patient with your shots. Is that something as well that you anticipated?
Yeah, over the last couple fights, getting knocked out, that 3-fight losing streak, even though I like going back to that Bellator fight that, we all thought we won. That was a fight where I really showed that I can pick my shots and be patient. I felt like I was patient in that fight, and I got away from that, losing again. And then I feel like one of my biggest weaknesses is I get a little overzealous, trying to go for those finishes so soon. I look for knockouts. That's just the honest truth. I like in my head, I believe that like I can put anybody's lights out the moment that first bell rings. And all I need is one. And I've been really working on being more patient, picking my shots, and just allowing my style to open up those opportunities to get a finish rather than just hunting for one.
Is going on to the final? Are you planning on watching any tape on Ryan, or is it just a case of going in and doing what you do best?
Just going in and do what I do best. I start worrying about what these guys do, and I start getting in my head. And I know what kind of fighter he is. He's a wrestler, and he's a very, very good wrestler. You know, D1 wrestler, and I respect him for that. And I think we still haven't gotten to see a lot of my game in the cage, and I feel like I'm still only just getting started. So I think going into that fight and not watching too much is going to be better for me mentally.
Is that, going on to that one then, is there any prediction for that? I think I know the method of your victory, how you're going to predict it, but have you got a round or?
I'm going to knock him out in 4.
In 4?
We'll see. It'll be anywhere before. It's not going 5 rounds, but I'll knock him out in 4. I see him getting very careless as the fight goes on and getting more desperate to take me down. There's not a lot of guys that can hold me down. And I think he will get desperate and he'll start shooting with his chin up. It could be a knee, could be an uppercut. We'll see, but it's definitely not going 5 rounds.
Is this your first fight that's been scheduled for 5 rounds?
Yes, be my first one.
You looking forward to 5 rounds?
You know what? I'm not. I'm not. Like I said, if you don't get paid by the minute, I don't like. 15-minute fights aren't fun. It's my second fight that's went almost 15 minutes, and the amount of damage and the toll it takes on my body, I don't like it. I genuinely don't. Like, I'm still sore and it's been almost 2 weeks, I'd like to finish the fight as soon as possible, but we got 25 minutes. It's a championship fight, so I'll be ready for that when December comes.
So going away from the fights a little bit, obviously with me being Scottish, I kind of have to ask. You were over in Scotland recently with Casey. I know you weren't here for too long, but how did you find the country? Obviously, the weather's a bit rubbish here compared to what you're used to, but
funny, it's funny that everyone doesn't like the rain and the cold. Like, I love it. I'm coming from Hawaii, it's different. So being able to take in all that cold weather, like, something about it makes me happy. Like, we had a bunch of rain over the last 3 days here in Vegas, and Casey's like, oh, it's rubbish, I hate this weather, like, I like the sun, and I'm like, no, this literally, I'm literally laying on the couch watching TV, and I was like, this makes me happy. Like, I love the cold. I don't mind. Like, when it gets windy, I don't mind. I hate the wind. I like cold, but I don't like cold and wind.
yeah.
But I loved it out there. I love the green. It almost seemed like everyone seemed very nice, and I love that pub style, like, that pub energy. Like, that's the stuff that gets me happy.
So I think that's something that a lot of people mention when they come to Scotland. The weather's a bit rubbish, but the Scottish people do have a reputation for being very open, very friendly, and very no nonsense as well. You get what you see. If a Scottish person's not happy, they'll tell you exactly what they think. I've noticed growing up, I'll go to a bus stop and I'll be standing next to someone I've never met, and whilst I'm waiting on the bus, you'll get their whole life story. Their whole life story.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to meet a lot of people in Scotland, or?
Oh, I did. So, like, because it was my first time, and then my first time meeting Casey's family, like, I met a whole bunch of people, like, and everyone was very friendly. So, like, she asked me how to like it, and I was like, I absolutely love it. It's just, it reminds me a lot of home as well. Everyone has a little bit of that, like, they're a bit closer because it's smaller, and her family seems very close, and it reminded me of home a lot.
So, last one in Scotland. What places was it, if you remember, that you managed to visit? Because if I remember rightly, I'm sure I seen a picture that you were in Edinburgh at one point, and I think I actually messaged you saying you could probably see my house from your picture.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, you did. You're right. Yeah, we went to Edinburgh. She's from Kilmarnock, so we were there for a bit. Spent some time with her papa, and I forgot where she said her grandpa was from. It was like a 20-minute drive from there. in a little bit of a nicer area. And then we did a whole bunch of stuff. We were supposed to go to a couple other places. I forgot where she said to go and just roam the streets and stuff. And I literally did a beer tour everywhere that we went. I think I pretty much drank beer the whole time I was there and didn't drink any water.
Yeah, if there's one thing Scottish people can do, it's drink, and there's plenty of drink available in Scotland.
Yeah, I love it. Like I couldn't get away from the beer because it felt like I needed to drink a beer everywhere we went.
Yeah, that's sounds an awful lot like Scotland. Um, did also you had some time in London as well, didn't you?
Yes.
How did you find that?
I like it. Like it's very different from what I'm used to. So like I get a little bit of that like extra excitement. I mean, I'm big on history, like like the kings and all that stuff. Like that stuff makes me excited. Like I love the museum. That stuff is different. Like we don't have a lot of that here, and I really enjoyed it. Like going to different excites me. So I wasn't too keen on the food as far as like everything being deep fried. I got tired of eating chips, fries. I got tired. Like I absolutely love French fries, and I think for the first time in my life, I didn't want them anymore. So
Yes.
that was about it. I Once I finally got to some places where I could eat like a steak, I was happy. But I get a little picky with my food after a while. I can eat myself into oblivion, but after a while, I get a little over it.
Yeah, so I think the UK has a bit of a bad reputation for food, and it's not. I'll be honest, the food isn't great. Scotland has a little bit of a saving grace because we've got some good seafood and some good meat, but I think otherwise
Yes.
British food's a bit rubbish.
Yeah, like I think I had English breakfast for every breakfast. That I can do every day. That's not a problem whatsoever. But after a while, like I had fish and chips, I think, for like 6 days straight because I didn't really want to eat anything else that was on the menu. But I also love fish and chips, so it worked out. But after a while, I also got sick of it.
Yeah. Did you get to try the? I know last time we spoke, I mentioned about a deep fried Mars bar, and you were telling me about how you want to try one. And did you get to try a deep fried Mars bar at all? Or
No, we didn't. I recall Casey saying we should get one, and we didn't get to stop anywhere to get one. But I tried what is that meat that you guys eat, the kind of like fermented one? It's I can't think of
this,
it.
this is terrible that I don't know what it's called. Um,
It's like a dark colored meat, almost looks like black meat, chocolate meat kind of almost. It almost looks like chocolate meat.
um,
I can't think of what it was called. Like it's a
black.
lot. It's in pies, the pies and stuff. The black meat, whatever it's called.
Is
Black.
it black
I can't
pudding
think of
or
the name. Yeah, the black pudding. Yeah,
what do you
but they
think of
were
that?
calling it something else. I didn't mind it. Casey was actually surprised that I didn't mind it. I had it a couple times. I just had to try it from a couple of different spots just to see which was better. But yeah, it's nothing out of the ordinary.
Did you get a
I
chance
could
to
eat it
try
a few
haggis?
times. Yeah, that's what it's called,
Oh,
haggis.
haggis, yeah. They're similar. It's similar.
Yeah,
Black pudding's almost like the
similar.
English version of haggis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I had haggis. Yeah, I had it a few times. I didn't mind it.
Haggis is one of those, I think when you look at what's in it, you think, oh, that's going to be disgusting. But when you actually taste it, it's all right. Like I quite like
Yeah,
haggis.
it kind of reminded me of like gamey, like a gamier version of meat.
Yeah.
Like just kind of like I don't mind gameness. Like I've gone hunting and stuff. I did all that stuff growing up, and so I don't mind it.
So obviously coming away from Scotland, there's a lot going on in Hawaii at the moment. You know where you're from. How's that? Well, for one, have you still got family on the islands, and are they all safe? Are they all okay? And
Well, so I'm originally from Oahu. Maui is the next island over, but I do have a bunch of friends that are from Maui, and their families lost some houses, and I just recently learned one of my auntie, her they lost their home, so they moved to Oahu. They're staying with some of my family. My whole family's back in Hawaii, but um, I've been fortunate that I'm lucky that my majority of my family is from Oahu. So no one, no one by blood relation has was on Maui, but it still is very sad. And I feel for some of my friends that, they're like one of my buddies from high school, his brother is on Maui and he's gone missing. So it's really sad, man. Like I'm out here doing what I do and living my life, and it's sad to hear that all these other people are dealing with all of this.
Was it hard, going through the last few bits of your fight camp, knowing what's going on back at home, and the amount of people that are struggling? And like, I'll be honest, obviously coming from Scotland, we've seen it in the news, but we don't get as much of the coverage as you do probably in America. We just get a wee 2 minute segment on Sky News or something about what's going on. But was it
Yeah.
hard? Because I'm imagining it's been all over the news, and
Yeah,
it won't be easy.
I it was definitely hard, finishing up camp and hearing all of that. Like, anybody will get when you see videos of people crying and because they've lost everything, like pictures of, a kid, burnt to a crisp laying next to their dog in a house, and especially kids, like kids losing their life, 5, 6, 7 years old. That's really sad, and Hawaii does a good job of supporting each other, and like like we don't get a lot of the special treatment that a lot of the states will get, like the states, like the main states get, and because we're just sometimes we feel a little forgotten about, being so far away from the United States. And I think that's the issue right now is where like the president, like he'll give tens of billions of dollars to Ukraine, but won't give, $2 billion to help rebuild Maui. And that's also like one of their main trading posts. Like that's the halfway point between the U.S. and Asia. Like they speak so highly of Hawaii, but yet they won't come to our aid when it's needed. So it's even more sad. That's what's more troubling about it. And I feel for everyone back home.
It must be difficult, obviously. You see about wildfires and all that kind of stuff happening around the world, but coming from Scotland, we don't really have to worry about that. We're very lucky in the sense that if there was a fire to start, it rains 5 times a day anyway, so it would end up, whereas you get somewhere like Hawaii where I know that some parts of the island are almost like a desert climate at points because of the heat and the dryness there. Is it a
Uh-huh.
case of just trying to get through your fight camp and then almost not think about it, but not let it affect you, or is it a case of letting
Yeah.
it sink in and kind of using it as fuel as well?
I wouldn't say I use it as fuel. It's just one of those things where like there's nothing I can really do to make it better, or like there's no immediate thing that I can do to make it go away. And I just got to understand that like if I can do what I can do, spread awareness. I've donated some money. I've donated some of my paycheck from my fight to them, a little extra. And it's it's just one of those things I got to like it is what it is. Stuff like this happens all around the world, and when it happens to your home or people, you'll step up and do your part. And doing my part is using the little platform that I have to spread awareness to everyone. And every little bit that everyone's given. And I know I hate to ask people for stuff, but like I've asked after my fight for anyone to give a little bit, $5, $10, whatever it is that'll feed a home, you know. And you know, like I said, just spreading awareness is all I can do.
So we obviously mentioned this, and we'll talk about this off camera a little bit more. But we don't have a big platform. But what we do have is we've got guys from around the world that do it. So there's me from Scotland. There's James is from Wales. There's Julian's from America, and we are planning on doing something, a little bit of even just a little video from some other fighters. And there are some guys that have signed up and some decent names. But it's
Yeah.
something that's taken me back is I thought there would be a little bit more awareness from the MMA community towards it, but there doesn't seem to be a whole lot going on. The only things that you are seeing is obviously, there's the conspiracies and everything out there. And in my opinion, there's a time and a place for talking about that. At the moment, there's real people suffering, and there's not been enough awareness from, I know it's a small community, but there's a lot of Hawaiian fighters in the MMA. And it would be nice to see some non-Hawaiian fighters kind of stepping up and even just sharing things, posting it on their Twitter pages. And it's something that I think shocked me, that coming from Scotland, I thought, right, there'll be a lot of American fighters and everything that'll be posting about it. And it's almost like it's kind of going away. And it's not, like the issues aren't going away, but it's kind of falling out of the news now. And is that something as well that, you wish that there was a little bit more awareness about not just the fires, but about the impact it's having after?
Yeah. Well, it's like I said earlier, it was like, we have, like, because we're so far away and, like distant from the rest of the United States, and it's like they almost forget about us, like our, even sports or academics, like, I've grown up and it was like where everybody only knows about what's on the island, and people, like, there's still people probably in places in the States that also think we still live in grass huts, so it's like, because we're so far away, a lot of people just forget about it. They're like, whatever, and I feel like that's one of those things here. It's, it's such a big thing. It's one of, like, they named it one of the biggest, like, wildfires in, like, Hawaii history, as long as, like, United States history or something like that. And they're like, still people isn't, they're not, there's still a lot of people that are like, they're just kind of, whatever, like, just forgetting about it. So it is sad. But like I said, it is what it is. Some people will do their part and some people won't, and I'm not mad. I don't expect people to go out of go out of their way. I don't expect people to go out of their way. They don't care about it. So it is what it is.
Yeah, so obviously, we'll go on to MMA again, but just I want to say, obviously, I hope everyone that's connected to you and everyone that that's on the islands, I hope they're all okay, and they're getting through it.
Thank you.
But moving on to MMA and trying, about UFL, I wanted to ask, how does it feel fighting for a promotion that's, from the outside, it genuinely seems like they're for the fighters. They're not trying to, news came out today about the UFC. I don't know if you've seen it, but they now have a right to a share in any fighter that fights for the UFC. If they start a business, the UFC can take a share of their business now. And it does,
Wow.
yeah, there's a big fighter pay issue going on, and it feels like UFL are actually doing things for the fighters.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice. I wish the bigger promotions would take a little notes from what the UFL is doing. Like, oh damn, what I have to, sorry, 1 second. Your meeting will end in 10 minutes. Need more time. Upgrade now.
That's all right.
Okay. Yeah, if we have to do it on a different platform, we can continue this some other way. But yeah, I think these bigger promotions do need to, or should, take a little notes on what UFL is doing. Even if it's just a little bit, it doesn't have to be nearly as much. But even something as simple as insurance, giving the guys a little bit of something to cover an X-ray or an MRI when they go and get hurt when they're out of camp would really help. And the UFL is doing a great job trying to set the bar high, and I think eventually maybe they'll start something and it'll grow onto these bigger promotions if the UFL doesn't already do it themselves.
So that's something that, the insurance is something that really took me when I was reading up about it. And it was just before the first fight that you had in UFL, after the Freedom Fight one, I seen that came out about the insurance. And it always makes me wonder how a promotion that got sold for, what, 8 billion in the UFC can't do it, whereas you've got UFL who are only on their 4th show and they're offering, insurance. And you always hear about the stories about fighters going into camps where, I can't remember who it was. It was maybe Michael McDonald, the bantamweight. Flyweight, was it? I think he spoke about openly taking fights injured because he couldn't afford his treatment, and he would lie and say that he got the injury during the fight just to get paid. Does that give you a wee bit extra security going into these fights, knowing, look, if something does happen, you can get everything covered. It's not a case of it's coming out of your pocket.
Well, a little known tale here. I have a grade 3 tear in my groin that I did on Monday right before the fight. I actually almost pulled out Friday. I was gonna rest. I was gonna let it. I was gonna see how it felt, push it a couple days, see how it would go. And so the groin tear, I ended up having to go get an MRI. Um, and being able to be like, oh yes, I have insurance, that really helped. Like I didn't have to say anything to the promotion. The promotion still doesn't even know that I tore my groin. But that's also why I didn't throw nearly as many kicks in the fight. So, but yeah, back to that. It's like going to get my MRI. I was like, thank God I don't got to spend $500 out of my own pocket to go get this MRI. So it's nice for sure. This is the first time I've used the insurance since, and I'm just thankful that the one time I did need it, I had it.
So obviously they do that as well, and with the insurance. And Frank Mir's always been a big pusher for things going well in MMA. Like throughout his whole career, he's been big on fighter pay. He's been big on the right issues when it comes to MMA, as well as being a legend. Him and Rampage. How does it feel to not just be fighting for a promotion that's for the fighters, but having guys like Frank Mir and Rampage talking about your fight, saying it's one of the best that they've had in UFL, if not the best fight in UFL, and the amount of praise that you got after that fight, it must be great coming from two Hall of Famers like Frank Mir and Rampage.
Oh, definitely. Like I grew up watching those guys, and for them to be on the sidelines now calling my fight or watching it and commenting on it, it's like it makes it even more exciting. It makes me even more excited to put on a show for them. Like I appreciated the way they fought, and I've got a lot of excitement out of watching their fights, that every time they had something booked. So for them to be excited to see me, it shows that I'm doing something in the sport as well.
Yeah, so that was something that it really struck me watching the fight. It was a brilliant fight. It was back and forth, but to the point where I was confident that you'd done enough to win, but not. If it went the other way, I wouldn't say it would have been a robbery, but it was one of those close fights. But I think you took it enough to confidently say that you won the fight. But it was what took me back was the praise on the commentary desk from the likes of Frank and everything, talking about how it was definitely fight of the night, how it was one of the best fights that he'd seen in UFL. Did you feel during the fight that it was going to be talked about like that, or did you just not think about it and you were just trying to get the business done?
I didn't think about it that way. I was really just trying to get the job done, get the win, and secure the next round. But I'm not gonna lie. At some point to the fight, I was like, damn, I feel like I'm being boring. Like but like that's what I mean. Like I get overzealous and I want to finish fights and knock people out. And me being technical, taking my time a little bit, made me feel like I was being boring. So, like there is times if you watch the fight back, it's like there is times you'll see where I start trying to put it on a little more. And I get it. You can hear my corner like, oh, like relax, tone it down a little bit, pick your shots. And I'm like, sheesh, I feel like I'm really be boring right now. So it's just, yeah, it's nice to be able to get back into my own little zone and be like, all right, relax a little bit, don't get too overzealous.
Well, from obviously an outsider's perspective, I can promise you one thing: the fight was not boring in any way. It was, sitting on the literally try watch it in bed, and of course it would be the one time the fights go later than usual, and I think it was about 7 o'clock in the morning by the time it finished here, and I was talking, giving it the big talk to everybody, like, oh, don't worry, Ty's fights very rarely ever go the distance, and I'll be able to get to bed early. But of course, it'd be the first time that the fights go to about 7 o'clock. You get your first decision victory.
Hey,
But
I know. After that, I was down. I really wish that didn't go 15 minutes.
do you feel? I know you said after the fight that you feel like you not didn't get one back, but he still got the knockout on you, and it's he's always got it. Do you feel a bit more content with the fact that you won the fight relatively comfortably, or do you still have that little bit in you where you think, I wish I got him out?
I wish I got him out. I'm always gonna feel that way. Now that I think about it, like all my wins were by a knockout. He's the first person to take me to a decision win. So now he's ruined my streak. So that also makes me mad. But yeah, I he still got one on me. Like I'm glad I was able to settle the score, and I feel like I showed that I was a better fighter everywhere in there. Um, I did it on one leg, so it also makes me feel a little better. But like I said, I'm not content unless I got a knockout, regardless of who I fight. So maybe we'll get a third one one day. Who knows? Hopefully for a lot more money, and we slug it out for a third time and see how that goes.
I don't think anyone would complain about seeing that fight for a third time. It was a fantastic fight. It did feel like, you've probably been told this, but it felt like there was, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Shane, but it felt like there was a little bit of a golfing talent. You are both very athletic guys, but it did feel from the outside like you were a little bit more technical, a little bit more talented on the feet, and that it was his kind of sheer guts and determination that got him through that fight and almost, made it competitive just through sheer willpower rather than actual talent.
For sure, for sure. I told him after the fight, I was like, God damn it, bro, you're tough as hell, and I respect that. And you made this a dogfight. So based off of that alone, like he's earned my respect, and I'm not taking anything away from